Melee and Ultimate. Ultimate and Melee. Two very different sides of the same Smash coin. Despite a 17-year difference in release dates, they are often propped up as the two main events for dozens if not hundreds of regional and major tournaments every year. However, players don't usually enter both and choose to focus on just one singles bracket per weekend. At Supernova 2024, out of around 3,000 players that entered either Melee or Ultimate, only 226 entered both, less than 10%. And honestly, that number seems pretty high, considering Supernova tends to attract larger amounts of casual players, or at least players that will try other games. One player is known for actively entering both games, and being notable in both, Liquid Hungrybox. Between his stream and traveling to a major almost every weekend, the best Melee Jigglypuff has also found a home in the Ultimate side of the community. In the middle of 2024, Hungrybox announced that he would refrain from entering both so often and instead focus solely on Melee, branded as the Ultimate Detox. He's been top 10 in Melee for over a decade, while probably being somewhere in the top 1,000 or so for Ultimate, and he wanted to remove Ultimate from his schedule to see if it would help his Melee results. Zane, one of the top 2 Melee players in the world, responded by streaming Ultimate on his channel for the same amount of time Hungrybox would not stream Ultimate, calling his experiment the Ultimate Poisoning. Cody, Moki, and other players also tried out Ultimate again, which was quite popular for viewership, but eventually, the players went back to their regular habits, with Hungrybox going back to making content for Ultimate after his results didn't show substantial change. And Zane got tired of losing to too much magic, as he would say. It was very fun to see how it played out, but a question was often raised. Who of all the Melee pros is the best at Ultimate? Many Melee players have given Ultimate a shot from 2018 to now. Let's take a look back and see who had the best results. First, let's set some ground rules and go over some honorable mentions. The Melee players I am considering to be professional is anyone that made the Melee year-end top 100 ranking. In some contexts, professional means making a living off of the activity, which I think is too narrow since Melee hasn't had a ton of money in its prize pools, and payouts can be very top-heavy, so I didn't want to just rank only the best few Melee players in the world. Also, instead of trying to weigh wins and losses like a ranking system often does, I am choosing to only focus on the good parts of each player's Ultimate career, so getting wins on good players is the main factor for this video. Also, we will be only focusing on offline, in-person tournaments, so no Coinbox Miracle runs will make the cut. And we're only looking at set wins. Game count doesn't matter. While it's nice to take one of the best in the world to Game 5, it usually doesn't matter for rankings, and it won't matter this time either. I went through the results of pretty much every top 100 player since 2013 and compiled a list of everyone that has entered Ultimate at some point. Here's everyone not in contention for top 10. I might have missed one or two players, but I've been fairly thorough, so let me know in the comments if I missed someone. Before we get into the top 10, the main two honorable mentions I have are Rishi and Morse Code 762. Rishi was a mainstay for Melee a few years ago, being one of the best Marths in the world, almost beating Armada since he had so much Peach experience playing against his brother Laud, and also had some influence in the Donkey Kong Renaissance. However, he's played some other games too, like Ultimate, getting a couple wins in NBVA and Tri-State like Vanilla, Gen, and Tilda before he got ranked. Nothing quite notable enough to get to top 10, but still solid. And Morse Code 762, the Michigan Samus with a knack for beating Cody and Jmook, entered Michigan Ultimate Locals pretty often back in 2019, and commonly placed in top 8 out of around 100 players. The best win he got was Lavish, as well as some other local threats like Nebula, Lonnie, Jerbear, and Zagu, but still lower than the main part of our list. And now for the top 10. Number 10, Aklo. The Fox Link from New York has been top 20 in Melee for years now, but before those days he tried out Ultimate. Tri-State is known to be one of the best regions in the world, so it's not surprising he got great practice, but he has also a pretty large amount of good wins, including 2 wins on PK Chris, Ralphie, and Kofi, as well as 1 win on Stocktaker 6ix9ine, Soul Arts, Jewel, and Zero to None. If you're not familiar with NYC Smash, these names may not mean much, but for a Melee player, these are very solid results. Aklo has entered 23 Ultimate events, 2 of them being post-quarantine. It doesn't seem like he'll enter much more, but you never know. Either way, he's proven his ability to keep up with the best in New York in multiple games, well deserving of the number 10 spot. Number 9. Armada. The Swedish sniper has been quite formidable in whatever game he tries, including Melee, Project M, Smash 4, speedrunning Mario 64, and Smash Ultimate. After stepping away from Melee singles in mid-2018, Ultimate's release a few months later was a great opportunity for the Peach Fox to stay in competitive Smash. Inkling was Armada's main of choice, with the Swede choosing 6 events to enter, including 3 American Super Majors, 2 Invitationals, and a European Regional. While his Ultimate bracket runs didn't quite match his Melee results, Armada obtained a pretty solid resume, defeating Chag before he got ranked, also beating Lemon, John, Kiwi, and ZD, who was internationally ranked as 51 at the time. While his Ultimate career only spanned about 10 months, he showed that he shouldn't be slept on and also helped pioneer the Inkling meta in the early days of Ultimate. So shoutouts to one of Melee's best ever for trying out Ultimate. Number 8, Jerry. This entry will surprise most viewers, but there's a certain group of people that knew that Jerry would show up. Best known for being a Fox main at MDVA, then picking up Jigglypuff and getting several top 100 wins a few months later, along with his ongoing rivalry with Bobby Big Balls, Jerry is a fast learner and can take names pretty easily. I remember watching the MDVA Arcadian in fall 2019, rooting for the players from my sub-region of Southwest Virginia. Unfortunately, none of those players made top 8, but a Joker main I never heard of before did. Rumors spread through Twitch chat, and soon after the commentators confirmed, yes, it was Melee Jerry. Little did I know that he entered Maryland locals for a bit, with characters like Mewtwo, Richter, and Fox, took a break, then started competing again after Joker came out, and didn't miss a top 8 for 3 months in a row, including the 256 entrant Arcadian. He went on to get second at that event, and would periodically enter MDVA locals and rack up an impressive amount of wins, like Dexter, Oolong, ZD, Pink Fresh, No Tag, Smirk, Seagull Joe, Squid Plumber, Justin Byleth, Creepuba, and a lot more, as well as getting 9th on the 2019 Quarter 4 MDVA Power Ranking. Jerry has entered a total of 105 events, most being Xanadu locals, but also getting 257th at SmashCon in 2023. It's unclear if he'll enter anything this year, but if he does, be prepared. Number 7, Hungrybox. Whoa, calm down, HFam. I didn't think he'd be this low either, but it's the numbers, you gotta believe me. For real though, it feels almost disrespectful for HBox to not be top 5 since he enters Ultimate so frequently. But let's get a closer look and contextualize his place on this list. Juan Debiema has been a Smash player for over 15 years, most of that time being spent in Melee, but also trying out other games too, like Project M and Smash 4. As Melee grew steadily bigger, and Jigglypuff was agreed upon to be a bottom 3 character in Smash 4, HBox's dedication to the Wii U title was limited, choosing to focus on Melee and growing his Twitch stream. However, when Ultimate was released in 2018 onto a popular console and a lot of hype behind it, Hungrybox didn't stop playing Ultimate after a year like some other Melee pros. In fact, he's probably going to enter another Ultimate Major the next month, just wait and see. As I mentioned previously, he tried to take a break from Ultimate to focus on Melee, but results were negligible, later deciding to bring Ultimate back into the fold and focus on physical health instead. So, while he has probably the most potential to go up on this list down the line, as of now, he just doesn't have that many amazing wins for how many events he's entered. He certainly has some great W's, like T3 Dom, Base Mage, Epic Gabriel, Skinny the Pooh, Grape, Omega, MPG, and Sean, and that's very solid and deserving of top 7, but doesn't quite have the peaks or amount of good wins as players above him. And like I said earlier, game counts don't matter, so despite the close sets with Mia, Lutany, and Apollo Kage, he hasn't quite yet cracked a win on the top 50 player. Huge props to HBox though, he has entered a staggering 965 Ultimate Singles brackets, 115 of them being offline. His stream has been a location for people that enjoy both Melee and Ultimate, which is something that I can personally appreciate. Hope you understand the placing, HFam. Allow me to explain the next 6 players in this ranking. Number 6, Plup. Here's another player that could potentially be a lot higher. Plup has had success with a lot of characters in Melee for over 10 years, starting with becoming the best CMS in the world in the mid-2010s and winning majors with Fox and Sheik a few years later. He also has had deep runs with characters like Falco and Luigi, and he's known to have some of the best fundamentals and platform fighters, Ultimate being no exception. It seems like whenever Plup is bored, he'll try out Ultimate again, pop up from time to time in an online bracket when he streams, while also occasionally entering offline majors. The characters he's most known for in Ultimate are Mega Man and Ridley, neither of which are being considered to be top tiers. He has 3 very good wins against players that were ranked at the time, being MVD, Salem, and ZD. He also surprisingly has a Sonics win. Granted, it was at SmashCon 2019 when Sonics was the 55th seed, instead of him being a constant top 8 threat like today, but it's still pretty impressive. Other notable wins include Ludo, Ismon, Atomisk, Synergy, Psychod, and Tachyon. Plup has entered 16 offline Ultimate events, most being in 2019, but also entered CEO and Riptide in 2022, which makes sense because Plup lived in Florida and he also loves water parks. Now that Plup lives in Oregon and hasn't entered offline Ultimate in 2 years, it's tough to predict when he'd enter again, but you never know. Number 5. Wizrobe. The other Justin from Florida has been a multi-game aficionado for a long time. He's one of the best in the world at 64. He's consistently top 10 in Melee. He's okay at Brawl. Almost single-handedly got Sonic nerfed in early patches of Project M, and had a pretty solid Sheik back in Smash 4. Ultimate, though, is kinda tricky to summarize. On one hand, Wizrobe has one of the best multi-game super major runs of all time at Smash and Splash 5. Getting top 8 in Ultimate as a 97th seed with over 1,500 players, while also winning the over 800 entrant Melee bracket without dropping a set with HBox, Leffen, Zane, Amsa, Plup, and Mango in attendance. It is such an impressive accomplishment that cannot be talked about enough, but what else is there? 9th at a regional, a few top 3 finishes at a local, 65th at Genesis, 49th at EVO. Unfortunately, nothing anywhere close to his Smash and Splash 5 performance. And that's okay, it's not a bad thing to have one standout performance when most people have none. It's just important to not cherry pick and consider his full results. Wizrobe got a win on Tweak, who is the 1 seed and the number 2 ranked player in the world. Super impressive. This won't be the only time the New Jersey legend is brought up in this video, but still amazing. The upset being a factor of 13. Wizzy also beat Scat and Utopian Ray, both seeded to get top 48, and Scat ended up being internationally ranked 41 afterwards. Outside of that event, Wizzy got wins against Kobe, Aaron, Goblin, Wanpi, Raymond Noodles, and Generic. So outside of the Tweak win, that's not quite as many wins as expected, but still a good enough resume to earn a top 5 spot. Wizrobe has entered 24 offline Ultimate events, with over half of them being 2021 or later. So there's certainly opportunities for some more success, but for now his bag of wins is not quite deep enough for top 4. Either way, it's really cool seeing an active player in Smash 64 and Melee also try out Ultimate fairly consistently. So keep your eye out, and don't be surprised if he takes your favorite player to the brink. Number 4, Mewtwo King. So I'll be honest, I did not see this coming. When we started making this list, I had Mewtwo King somewhere in the 9th to honorable mention range, thinking back to when he played Bowser and get an occasional upset. I didn't realize though, Jason Zimmerman has entered quite a bit. 48 total Ultimate events, 27 of them being offline. I guess living in Florida does have some benefits. Consistent high-level Smash tournaments. For real though, one of the best of all time for Melee and Brawl, playing in dozens of Ultimate events. Pushing the meta for Pyramithra, and also being a coach for some of the best players in the world is cool to see. Let's take a look at his wins. Mewtwo King begins the part of this list to have 4 or more wins on players that were internationally ranked at the time, getting victories against Stroder, Goblin, Fatality, and ZD. Dang, ZD kinda got bodied by half these players, that's crazy. But anyway, the list doesn't stop there. Send, Apollo Kage, Suarez, Shu, Applewiz, Hobby on Earth, Beast, Kiwi, Sisalex, and C Falcon. None of these players were ranked at the time, but some of them became heavy hitters very soon after. Wizrobe definitely has a case for top 4, but I think a larger amount of good wins makes up for that and then some. N2K hasn't entered anything offline since late 2022 for all Smash games, so Wizrobe may end up passing his Florida rival soon. But for now, I think Zimmermanson from Cinnamonson is the 4th best Melee pro at Ultimate. Number 3, Leffen. Big Left. Humongous Yelta. Wumbo William. The Godslayer. A man of many nicknames, but one truth is agreed upon. He can grind a game for like a month and suddenly become a top contender. He's one of only a few players to win an EVO title in multiple games. And not just something like winning Street Fighter 4 and then Street Fighter 5. I'm talking about winning Super Smash Bros. Melee and Guilty Gear Strive. Those games are nothing alike. The only common denominator is Leffen's desire to prove he's better than everyone else. He tried Smash 4 for a bit, won with Diddy Kong, then went back to Melee. He became a household name in Dragon Ball FighterZ when it was arguably the most popular fighting game in the world, being part of one of the most viewed sets in DBFZ history. He's changed characters multiple times in Guilty Gear Strive, but still remains a top threat. He tried out the Rivals 2 beta and got top 6 at Genesis, and now he's currently trying to hit the ground running when 2XKO releases. But we're talking about Ultimate here. For less than a year, Leffen devoted his time to Ultimate, and here's what happened. 17th at Genesis, defeating Seagull Joe, Kofi, another player that was top 25 in the world. 9th at Ultimate Nimbus, defeating Zenyu and Scizor. 9th at Smash Ultimate Summit 1, beating Plup and Armada. 13th at Pound, beating Ling, JLim, and ZD. There he is again. 13th at SmashCon, beating Meister, Seth, and having one of the most hyped up sets in Smash history, beating Salem after the Twitter beef the previous year. I saw it live, such a fun moment. 33rd at Shine, beating 8-Bit Man. 17th at Mainstage over Dakpo, Cantrip, and another player seated in the top 20. 9th at Ultimate Summit 2, getting a win on Tweak when he was the number 3 player in the world. And 1st at DreamHack Winter with a win over the top seed Space, and beating Mr. R twice in Grand Finals. Leffen only entered 14 offline Ultimate events, well actually 11 because he DQ'd from 3 of them. He has a habit of doing that. And despite that small amount of data, he was able to get a lot of great wins. Enough to where he was an honorable mention for the Fall 2019 International ranking, pretty much getting in the top 55 players in the world, while also ending the year as the second best player in the world for Melee too. He hasn't entered any Ultimate events since 2019 and probably never will again, but it was a nice 12-month stretch seeing one of Melee's best show so much effort and succeed in the newest Smash title. Alright, that's enough compliments towards Leffen to last 5 years. Let's move on to address the elephant in the room. This video should be over, right? Well, remember those requirements I talked about earlier? Objection! They apply to some other players that may not be thought of as Melee players. If that upsets you, totally fine. Let's bump everyone down 2 spots. Rishi and Morse Code get 9 and 10, and video's done. Thanks for watching, like, and subscribe. But for those that want to hear me out, let's bring up these 2 individuals. One from Florida and one from SoCal. One player was on the Melee top 100 4 years in a row, getting as high as 68th, while the other was on the top 100 twice, and got as high as 36th. Both had the potential to make it far and get some upsets, so I think it's fair to include them. And even if you disagree, that's fine. Those 2 players are Esam and Larry Lurr. Wait, before you close the video, just listen. I know neither of them are currently active Melee players, but neither are Armada and Mewtwo King. There was never an event where they entered both Ultimate and Melee. But Leffen rarely did too, and others like Armada, Morse Code, and Aklo didn't really do that either. Neither of them were truly professional and made a living from Melee prize money, but few people do. Content creation and sponsorships are the main factor for players having a living wage for Smash alone. Neither got ranked in the top 10, but multiple years of being top 100, including 36 in 2014 and 68th in 2016. And that's pretty impressive, so they were definitely good at Melee. They didn't just play Melee until 2008, move on to Brawl, and then Smash 4 and Ultimate. Larry played Melee during the last few years of Brawl's lifespan, and Esam played Melee regularly until Ultimate was released. You can draw the line to not include them, but I think it's fair to factor them in. Now, let's look at the reason why they're at the top of this list, their Ultimate results. It kinda makes everyone look bad, but just remember that they were former Melee pros at this point, not current Melee pros like almost everyone else on this list. Both have been on the International Ultimate ranking, but they haven't been in the spotlight recently due to not attending as many events, and more international talent getting recognition. But they are definitely known for their prowess to anyone that paid attention during the first few years of Ultimate's lifespan. In terms of top wins, they both have 4 MKLeo wins, which is already enough to bring them to the top of the list. But alongside that, they have a long list of wins. That would make this video much longer than it needs to be, so here's a snapshot. Both have very good placings for an extended period of time, showing consistency while also having potential to make an upset at any point. While it's not as big of a deal if they don't get top 32 compared to like a year or 2 ago, they both have an excellent career in the newest Smash title. But the data speaks for itself. One player has been ranked higher more often than the other, one has more wins against players that were internationally ranked, and one player peaked at winning 2 majors, while the other one peaked at second at an invitational and first at a regional. So, the second best Melee pro at Ultimate is Larry Lurr. The Space Seed Donkey Kong expert has boasted an excellent resume across most of the Smash series, with his peak being in Brawl and Smash 4, but definitely has chops for Ultimate. He doesn't necessarily rejoice in his Melee roots, but he's been playing competitive Smash for almost 2 decades. So being labeled as the game they're best at doesn't tell the full story. Peaking at 40th in the world in 2022, and also being an honorable mention for top 100 on the most recent Luma rank, having a win on Tweak earlier this year, and a long list of good wins from 2019 to 2022. Across his 134 Ultimate offline brackets, his best result was second at the G4 Invitational, beating Chag, MKLeo, and MKLeo again after he had just beaten Gluttony the set prior, with Larry only losing to Sparga. After that though, top 64 at a super major was what he routinely placed. Regardless, Larry Lurr is a great example of someone showing that hard work can translate to multiple different games, and that older players can still compete with the kids of today. That brings us to number 1, ESAM. Alright, I get it. Hey, I didn't want to do this, it's just bald reparations, I swear. Please don't leave a comment on the video saying your thoughts, I have a family. For real though, people love to make fun of ESAM a lot, but he's a really good Smash player. He's not quite known for his ability to play 64, but for Melee, Brawl, Smash 4, and Ultimate, he's been a notable player for like 15 years. Similar to Larry, his peak was Brawl and Smash 4, but definitely has a ton of great results in Ultimate. ESAM was ranked 14th in the world in 2019, 35th in the first half of 2022, and recognized as top 50 in North America for most of Ultimate's lifespan. His results definitely have seen better times, but is still a gatekeeper for anyone that wants to become ranked one day, and has a considerable amount of good wins in the first 4 years of Ultimate. Out of his 92 offline events, his best results are winning Glitch 7, beating Light twice, Tweak, and several other great players, and Glitch 8.5, beating MKLeo, Light, Cola, and MKLeo again. He also got 3rd at Glitch 8 and 9th at SmashCon 2019. Guess he likes MDVA events. In terms of the sheer volume of good wins ESAM has gotten, it's kinda wild. 4-2 Lifetime versus Leo, 3-1 Lifetime versus Tweak, 5-4 Lifetime versus Light, and wins against Mars, Dabuz, Zachary, Cosmos, Myron, Mutates, Sonics, and many other top players. While his results are worse than they used to be, there is no doubt in my mind that ESAM is the best Melee pro at Smash Ultimate. Thanks for watching. This video was fun to research. It was harder than I thought though, because a lot of Melee players tried Ultimate, either didn't like it or lost more than expected, and then went right back to Melee. And you can't really blame them. The meta has advanced so far with each Smash title that it is very difficult to get good at multiple games, especially at both Melee and Ultimate. To further show how hard it is, I'm going to release a video about the opposite topic, the top 10 Ultimate pros at Melee. And hey, it's totally fine if you disagree with any part of this list. If you think I got it wrong or missed someone, then leave it in the comments below. Please subscribe and let me know of any topics you'd like to see in the future. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers by February in order for us to announce a special project planned for Q1 2025. Shoutouts to resources like Smasher's app, PG Stats, Smash Data, StarGG, Liquipedia, SSB Wiki, all those websites that helped with the research for this. Don't forget to join our Discord and have a great day.